Now, Tony Khan gave an interview to Yahoo Finance regarding the Warner Brothers Discovery split, as well as cable TV ratings for Dynamite and Collision. This is from the Yahoo Finance story. The looming breakup of struggling TV player Warner Brothers Discovery won't body slam All Elite Wrestling's business, says CEO Tony Khan. We have great relationships with everybody at the top, both on global networks and streaming and studios, Khan told Yahoo Finance at the Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity on Tuesday. Mr. Zaslav himself put our deal together. Gunnar, who is Gunnar Wiedenfels, the CFO, who will be running their global networks, also was very involved in our deal. So if you didn't hear the news a few weeks ago, Warner Brothers Discovery is planning to split into two separate publicly traded companies. One is going to be called Warner Brothers Discovery Streaming and Studios, and the other one is Warner Brothers Discovery Global Networks, which would include TNT and TBS and CNN and all of that stuff. And the split is not expected to be completed until the middle of next year. It's not going to be like an immediate thing, but this is, not unusual in the media space. Comcast separated their TV operations from its streaming assets as well. My initial thoughts on the news, and I didn't make a big deal of it when it was first reported because I don't see this having any short-term impact whatsoever on AEW. It may not even have a long-term impact on AEW, but whatever the long-term impact is, we're still a couple of years away from knowing what that would even be. Whenever their existing media rights deal is up, it could have an impact at that point. But there's no point in speculating on what may or may not happen in 2027 because in 2025 and 2026, it's not going to have any impact on AEW. Now, also included in this story is an interesting little nugget here. It says, besides the big media breakups, the operating landscape for AEW is ever shifting. In September 2023, Endeavor completed a $21 billion merger between WWE and UFC, forming TKO Group. Netflix began exclusively streaming WWE's flagship Raw show in January as part of a $5 billion 10-year media rights deal. Speculation has since surfaced that TKO Group may look to unload WWE. Speculation, you say? Apparently, they're getting their speculation from X or from Jonathan Coachman. Where else is this speculation coming from? I've seen absolutely nothing to back this up. But the website Awful Announcing also covered some of what Tony said in that Yahoo Finance interview, in particular the ratings stuff. And the key headline coming out of it being, Tony Khan says AEW cable audience is growing in spite of 24% viewership drop. Tony said, we're doing fantastic. This is a huge year for us. We grew the business so much with the simulcast that we've brought in new audience with Max and streaming, but also we've been able to grow our cable audience year over year. Now, let me stop there. The idea that AEW is having a huge year is true. If you look at it from a financial perspective, given they signed a new media rights deal, late last year with Warner Brothers Discovery. So they're going to be making more money off that deal than they ever have before, even though those terms were not publicly disclosed. The Sports Business Journal at the time reported that the deal is worth upwards of $170 million a year. Now, I've also seen, I think it was Variety said $150 million. Let's be generous and go with the $170 million, okay? $170 million a year for 3 years with an option for a fourth year, which would bring the deal up over $600 million. So AEW is rock solid in that regard. You can't say that they don't have any money coming in. Now, they're also spending a lot of money, but they've got a lot more money coming in now than they did before, right? There's no other professional wrestling company, sports entertainment, call it whatever you want, in the world outside of WWE that has any sort of media rights deal bringing in that kind of revenue. Okay, so that is true. The stuff about growing their cable audience year over year, though, I have no idea what orifice he's pulling that out of. The article continues, when confronted with skepticism over growing his cable audience for AEW, Khan doubled down. Said a lot of people thought when you start simulcasting AEW on Wednesday nights and Saturday nights, oh, okay, a lot of people, they're still going to watch the show, but people are going to migrate to streaming. Well, actually, our cable audience, when we started simulcasting, went up. And we have a great audience on Max streaming every week as well. So we have been able to do that, and we've really maintained and grown a great audience over the years. AEW, we say, is we're the best wrestle, and I really believe that's true. The WrestleNomics website tracks weekly television ratings in the wrestling industry. AEW has actually seen precipitous ratings declines so far in 2025 compared to 2024. In fact, AEW Dynamite was down a whopping 24% in audience in Q1 this year. The raw numbers show that AEW was down 44% from their peak back in 2021 for Dynamite. That makes it really hard to sell that your company is doing better than it ever has, especially since low attendance has caused AEW to now run theaters and ballrooms for their weekly shows instead of larger arenas. AEW is up a slight amount so far this year compared to 2024 Q4, but that's not how anybody measures year-over-year growth by picking and choosing what quarters you want to compare. There's also great mystery over what exactly AEW is drawing on Max, as neither the company nor the streamer has released any real audience numbers. But given their viewing trends, at least in the sports world, it would be hard to fathom the Max audience coming anywhere close to what AEW draws on cable. Yes, AEW is not drawing 500,000 additional viewers on Max every week. I know that was a thing a few months ago after the BJ Bethel report. There's no way they're drawing anything close to that week to week on Max. But without seeing the numbers, we don't know exactly how much to add on to the cable numbers from TBS and TNT. And he didn't say that they're up when you include the Max numbers. He very specifically said they were up even absent those streaming numbers, and it's just demonstrably false. With the Max numbers included, yes, they're probably up from what they were doing a year ago, and that's a good thing. But to hear him say what he said, it's like he's living in his own little fantasy world, somewhere outside of the realm of reality. What he should be happy about, though, were the numbers that their Arena Mexico show did on Wednesday, which were way up. 736,000 overnight viewers on TBS, which is a 23% jump from the week before, and a 46% jump from this time last year, which I believe is still the lowest rating that the show has ever done. The key demo number this week was also way up. With the Max numbers factored in, again, not knowing exactly what they are, but do I think they're 500,000 a week? No. Do I think they're 50,000 a week? No, I think it's higher than that. What the number is, we don't know, but if you factor the Max numbers into that 736,000, they were probably close to 1 million. I don't think they hit 1 million, but they were probably close to 1 million. So he has good reason to celebrate that. As far as the Arena Mexico show, I love the environment. I love the visual. I love the look and the feel and the energy from the crowd. That crowd at Arena Mexico is fucking great. It was a special show, and I would love to see them go back and do this once a year, at least once a year.